Okay, it's me again. And it's good to be here, it's good to be talking to you. However, I'm in a bit of a state of dilemma at the moment because when I'm making a video, alright, I've made like thousands, literally thousands of videos over the years. And in this recent, this year, 2022, when I've been making more videos, the ones which seem to get more viewership and quickly are either those associated with dark imagery, or it is my erotic tarots which have pictures of women's bottoms in it. So it seems like the market has decided that what is required from me is either women's bottoms or creepy dark imagery. So I'm going to have to try and work out. I mean, obviously, out of those two things, I can only really help you with one of them. Okay? Shut up, you. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and follow that particular theme for a little while and see where it takes me. However, I am by my nature not an actual dark, scary individual. I'm just someone who appreciates that particular style of imagery, a bit like the way a goth would, really. But it's more a question of me enjoying the emotionality of that particular artistic expression rather than necessarily revering it. So I must point out to you, if I do suddenly do a video which is dark and makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, that's not because I am by nature a dark and uncomfortable person. It is because I am by nature trying to draw you in so that I can then talk to you and give you a few other ideas to think about. So don't worry about that. But we're going to do something basic and something very simple today. And I've got out on my table in front of me right now. Oh, here we go. On my table in front of me right now, along with some basic radionic equipment. This, and especially this. What is in this little bag? What particular mystery does it contain? A selection of pendulums, two of which are of an Egyptian style design. And what was weird about me, I mean, I've had these now for a while, a couple of years maybe, and I like them. I mean, within the whole mythology of the Egyptian style of pendulum, it is the shape and the number of rings it has, which is supposed to have some kind of bearing upon how much power or storage or energy transmission it's supposed to have. Remember that these things are used more like, not only for divination, but also for spiritual healing practices. So there's the various different shapes do various different things. That one's supposed to be a good style of healing pendulum design. But the most common one, which is capable of achieving much more broadly, so it is said, is the Egyptian, I think it's called is it Isis or Osiris? Isis, I think it's called. And so we can use this little pendulum cloth, which you see before you right now, plus the pendulum, to ask some questions. Now the question is, what question am I going to ask it? Is there a spiritual force present? Is there a consciousness present? Pendulum's not moving, so I'll scan over the various different words. We have a strong response for yes. We have no response for no. Okay. Right, I want to ask you if you're male or female, so I'm going to start off by asking you if you're female. No. So, according to the pendulum reading, we have a female spirit present. But now it's a question of asking it what its purpose is in being here. Do you have good intentions towards me? Strong response for maybe. No response for yes. Okay. Are you a spirit that is related to me? No. Okay. Right. Are you a spirit of the location or place? Yes. Can you assist me in my craft? Yes. Okay. Is that more for clairvoyance and clairaudience, or is that more for healing work? Let's ask about clairvoyance and clairaudience first. Okay. Now, what about healing work? Okay, interesting. Okay. So, using a pendulum board or mat or whatever you want to call it is very different from using a talking board, because you ask one question to either the pendulum or the board. Okay, the board provides you with letters. The letters can then be used to work out what the board is trying to tell you, or what the spirit is trying to tell you. With the pendulum, you can only really do the limitations which is present on whatever type of board you're using. Now, you can use a Ouija board, and even Charles Cosmanio recommended or suggested and demonstrated in his books the use of a circular Ouija board designed predominantly for the pendulum. Okay? Essentially, we're still talking about the same method. It's still just the ideomotor effect. We should have questions about what type of experience we're having and why we're having it. Okay? We should always do that. We can't just say that because the board has said something or the pendulum has said something that we've got a hard and fast answer. We just can't do that. All right? Yes, I know that the pendulum is used in semi-intuitive medical type settings, but also for the average individual, all right, like you and me, who's an experimenter, I don't think we can rely upon it as much as some people do. You'd have to spend a lot of time focusing on just the pendulum and doing just the pendulum. Remember, it took me 2 years of obsession with a book by Sylvan Muldoon and Hereward Carrington called The Projection of the Astral Body in order for me to have a full-blown astral projection. So then you've got to ask yourself, how much time and energy and work do I need to put in when trying to develop any other experience? Then I'm going to use the word experience rather than skill, and I'm going to use the word experience rather than gift, because I think it is much more accurate. Okay? And there's reasons that I've used that type of language, and the use of the right type of language is essential when you're trying to communicate any of this stuff to other people. All right? But in the meantime, that's basically what you like is toys. I'm just going to show you a quick image of some of my little toys there, which look very, very good. This one's hangs okay, a bit heavy, but it hangs very good. The best weight I've got so far is probably this one here. This one, small and cheap, doesn't always hang perfectly, but either way it still does its job. Okay, and the crystal one, you use these when you're attending psychic fairs, really, because it looks right, it looks neutral, it doesn't look too heavily dominated by theology, and crystal is still something which has a certain je ne sais quoi amongst the spiritual worlds. And there are still great crystal shops around the place. There's one quite near me that sells some amazing stuff that I'd love to save up for. But either way, just a short video about the pendulum and with a short mention of women's bottoms. There we go.